So Terry, you mentioned that 90%, it's not in the policy that you need to scan. They hand clear, but 90% of PMs. What do you think there could be like one incident that would change that, like overnight? Or do you think every so often when they hand clear and hit something, they just move on, takes a little bit more time, but that's never really gonna happen? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
You said that's something that would change.
Yeah,
In
so
what way?
what one incident you think or potentially could forecast for that policy actually having us written into it or a company like ours written versus
Yeah,
right now
yeah.
it's up to the PMs. They don't have to do it.
Right.
They could save money and save budget and just hand clear.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably part of it is probably a project cost.
Right.
You know, does the company want to make that a requirement? And I think when we're drilling borings, the thought is, well, you know, we're drilling, you know,
Tiny.
a boring. So the hand clearing to, I think we require to 5 feet or 6 feet, that's adequate. But literally, you know, the vast majority of our project managers, I think, feel that's not enough. We always do, you know, utility locating, subcontractor as well. So it's in some ways I'm a little surprised it hasn't been written into the policy.
Right.
But I think the company probably just wants to maintain that flexibility rather than for that 10% to have to go through a variance internally, you know, to get approval, to not have to do to just, everybody's doing it anyway, so it's kind of, you know, standard practice.
Steve, can I follow up to that question?
Yeah.
Just a specific example of working with your company. I was thinking the same thing that Rachel was saying there. So I wrote down your quote here earlier because I thought it was great, talking about vendor versus partner, and that's super exciting. Partner is involved with you selling your client versus a vendor, you know, not even being part of that strategy. So everywhere it's expected that they use a utility locator. When we talk about borings, it's the same thing as a big construction project. One boring can create that same fatality, right?
It's true.
Even though it's just a tiny boring. So I was working with one of your colleagues, and I think they had like 15 borings, and I lost the job because of cost. There's such a big difference between one provider to the other. How beneficial would it be to your company to have this type of partnership where you know exactly what you're getting, whether it's in Boston, Dallas, San Francisco? How beneficial would that partnership be?
Yeah, I think there's definitely room for us to learn more about each other, and then I think there would be more of that partnership. I think, you know, our project managers, when they're doing just even the simplest projects, you know, they're deciding, they've got to select, you know, 6 or 7 different, you know,
Right.
service providers. So I think there's this tendency, well, you know, the utility locating person, that's it. Person's going to go, which lab do I want to use? And then there's which driller am I going to use? And then the waste hauler, and, you know, all these different things. So, it's all trying to happen because they're drilling on Tuesday, you know, that's got to get done.
That's
But,
the challenging part to us, because
yeah.
it's so hard to get our partners to understand that it's not cookie cutter, right? There's a lot of companies that do this, and somebody could be just coming out with a wand, waving it around. It's not the same thing, but they do that because it's $100 less.
Yeah.
How do we change that? You know?
Yeah.
But,
I think did GPRS do a brown bag presentation at GES at one point? Trying to remember. We have a lot of, you know, partners and vendors that do that, and then our PMs get more familiar.
Yeah, I think it is an important part of our strategy to just education, you know, introducing more people, making awareness a campaign in the industry, and relating that back to safety. You know, trying to really mass where we can make an impact on safety directly. But I would say that it's important, and if we haven't been in lately, we've got to stop by.
Yeah,
and do it.
and for us, it is a project manager decision, or it may even be, you know, we call the case manager decision below the project manager, which utility locator use. So it's hard. It's not going to be an office manager or a regional manager that's going to say, you know, okay, going forward, we're going to use GPRS on every, you know, utility locating. So it's hard. You know, we only have 400 people, but I think 250 of them can be listed as a project manager. So there's a lot of people making that decision every day.